that is IIC. I have already said that's what is IIC. IIC, that's the full form of IIC is Institutions Innovations Councils. That is an initiative that was launched in 2018 along with the AICTE, that is All India Council for Technological Education. Today's program has been arranged under the thrust Rehabilitation and Innovation and Business Model Development with the objective of nurturing innovation, entrepreneurship and creative problem solving abilities among students and faculty members. At the outset, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the respected authorities, organizing members and the participants whose enthusiastic presence has made this workshop possible. We are living in an era where ideas alone are no longer sufficient. The modern world demands implementations as well as the experimentation and innovations. Every successful enterprise that we witness today once became merely as a simple idea in the mind of an innovator. However, what transformed those ideas into impactful realities was the process of prototype developments, continuous refinement and practical applications. What I use the word prototypes. What is prototypes? At first we have to learn, we have to understand, we have to make out, we have to comprehend the word prototype. Prototype is the words that there is a thesis, there is an idea, and there is the real product or the real materials. And the gap between these imaginations and the real products, the gap, the link or the bridge is called the prototype. So, have you got my point? What is prototype? Prototype is the middle stages of the imagination of an idea and of the real state, of the real material, of the real surroundings. And the gap between two is called prototype. This workshop has therefore been designed to bridge the gap between imagination and implementations. Dear participants, the transitions from the idea stage to the working model stage is one of the most crucial phases in entrepreneurship and innovations. Now I would like to introduce the word entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? How the word comes from? What is the real meaning of the word entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is a French word that comes from 13th century. So entrepreneur is which word? A French word, and that comes from 13th century. And it is a verb. The verb entrepreneur, E-N-T-R-E-P-R-E-N-D-R-E. And its meaning is to do something or to make something. So, to do something or to make something, the activity is called entrepreneurship. But it's not the entrepreneurship that we are going for 2 words. Because to make the process, we have to maintain some dignities, some rules, some regulations to fulfill the idea. Entrepreneurship is nothing but the ideas, the fulfillment ideas, the innovative ideas, and how we create an idea to a model, to a product, to that is yet not been discovered or invented. Before we are going to go further, the innovations, how we can get the innovative ideas from the surroundings, because as there are 3 things, and the process thing is not much more. You also have to give courage. You also have to think in a way that there will not be the restrictions, there will be no the boundaries. As can as have the capability. You have to resist the impediment, the resistance. You have to go much more forward to think the idea, to transcend the boundary of the limitations, to get the notions, to get the concept, and you have to design it. You have to think about it. You don't think that I am thinking an idea and I am going to fulfill this idea within a second, within a minute, within a month, within a year, or some days. It can't be, or it can be, and it is the perspective or it is the caliber to you that are you ready to prepare it or not. You have to think in a way that no other persons, no other humans even did not think the way, or there are some when you will think that this has already been thought by myself and the product has already been discovered and I have already thought this product. But as you did not implement, as you did not think about that, as you did not create the ideas, as you did not fulfill the materials, you are no longer the owner of that product. So there are so many terms, the entrepreneurs and the owner of the process, the entrepreneurship process is called the entrepreneur. There are so many terms like ventures, like franchise. There are so much technical terms. I'm later going to discuss it. I'm going to discuss it about the MSME. M for medium, S for small. And there are so many small, medium enterprises. The Regulations Act, how it can be immersed through the concept of the industrializations, how it can help to the industry, how it can help to the business to create a new thing, to create a new product that we are going to use. What do you think? That's we have got such kind of things, such kind of microphones, such kind of mobiles, such kind of fans or electric gadgets or the other refrigerators. No, we need a gates. The person who at first got this concept, he utilizes this concept. He uses his resources, he uses his capitals, he uses his innovatives, and after that, the person will pursue the manifestation of the resources of the profits. So accountability and liability, as I before also discussed, how important, how crucial in this phenomenon, in this regard, to create such kind of existential numerity. So we have to maintain such kind of liberation. We have to maintain such kind of regulations. We have to maintain such kinds of rules. We have to maintain such kind of phenomena where we can get above our thinking. We can go to think the perspectives that we have not been thought. Throughout the workshop, participants will gain exposure to various dimensions of prototype and process design, including design thinking methodologies, problem identification and solution mapping. Apart from this, we are going to discuss about the prototype conceptualizations, feasibility testing and validations, process optimizing techniques, product refinement through iterative feedback, entrepreneurial innovation and business adaptability. The session today shall not remain confined to the theoretical discussion through interactive activities like the brainstorming. What is brainstorming? That's we are going to say about the words, the words, the concepts, the ideas that has been stored in your cerebrum, in your brain. And case studies and practical demonstrations, participants will develop analytical and innovation-driven approaches to problem solving. So, not only the theoretical part that will help you to understand the thinking, you have also go through the case study where you will participate. You will can get the ideas, you will can get the things by your hands, and wherever you will participate in it, you will get much more engaged. Your idea, your concept will get much more clear. The clarity, the nuances of the product will be much more delivered to you so that you can create such kind of change. The 5 stages of design thinking process. I'm going to let us to what's the design thinking and what is the process of the thinking. So I am just giving you the overview of the total discussion that I'm going to discuss, and after this I'm going to describe all the points details by details. In details. And one of the slogans that I would like to share to you, to my students, dear students, always remember, an idea becomes meaningful only when it acquires the courage of execution. What I said, an idea becomes meaningful only when it acquires the courage of executions. Without the executions of your concept, the idea cannot be fruitful, and you cannot go through the upper lift of the curiosity meets courage. So the innovative things not only relies on the idea. There also needs the courage. There also needs the curiosity. There also needs the brainstorming process. There also needs the innovative thoughts. There also need the resources. There also need the capitals. There also need the intentions. And also, one on the list. Last but not the least, the intuitions. What you think. Therefore, I urge every participant present here not to hesitate in expressing ideas, asking questions, or experimenting with unconventional solutions. Sometimes the smallest idea carries the potential to create the greatest transformation. So, your idea can never be the smallest questions. That you think this is a pretty idea. Maybe the idea can go in a brand. How you can create a brand? How can you create a logo? How you can run the business? So you need also the courage, the curiosity, the idea, the resources, your intuitions, as well as the brainstorming, the innovative thoughts, and the other requests that you would like to take on it. So your idea becomes meaningful when it acquires the courage. When you think that I do have much more courage to fulfill it. I have to try, I should have tried. Maybe I will fall. But your fall cannot testify. Or your fall cannot give the result that you are failure. Because failure is the success of failure is the pillar of success. It should cultivate creativity, research aptitude, technological understanding, and entrepreneurial confidence among students. Workshops like this help in building an innovations ecosystem where your minds are encouraged to think indifferent and create solutions for real world challenges. I am going to discuss one thing that I have gone through before when I was studying in my graduations, that from LL that I am going through in such circumstances or situations that I have seen that the young minds are going to be destroyed by some certain things or some technological powers. Because you are the young minds, you have the potential, you have the courage, you have the resilience to create such kind of things that yet have not been invented. The important was can be taught later. If you are interested, and if you can share your expressions and thoughts, and if you like to talk much more, then you can talk. Do you want to express yourself, what you are talking about, or what you are thinking about, or expressing about yourself? If you know, then please try to listen something. Otherwise, I am going to just read about the things that you should not do such kind of things. One of the major expected outcomes of today's program is the development and demonstrations of functional prototypes by participating teams. This innovative work shall further contribute to the UKTI Innovation Repository, thereby connecting institutional innovation efforts with national innovation initiatives. I would also like to acknowledge the active role of the Institution's Innovation Council in continuously promoting entrepreneurial culture, startup awareness, and innovation-based learning within educational institutions. Such initiatives truly strengthen the vision of an Atmanirbhar Bharat and innovation-driven India. So, what are the things that we are trying to find out in this project, in these seminars? How we can be? I am going to discuss about the design thinking. So please give the first slide. What is design thinking? Design thinking is a systematic thinking and human-centered by which the problems that have been created we are getting the solutions effectively. So design, prototyping, the solution prototypes, how low they are the types of the prototypes. That's the low prototypes, the first thing about the first slide. The types of the prototypes. thinking is a systematic, human-centered and innovation-driven methodology used for solving complex problems creatively and effectively. It focuses on understanding the needs, experience and expectations of users before developing products, services or solutions. Unlike traditional problem-solving methods, design thinking emphasizes empathy, experimentation, creativity, collaboration and continuous improvement. So, at first we have to think about what is the problem, and the other is define, and the third is the ideate, and the fourth is prototype. As I already have discussed a little bit about the prototype, that is the gap or the bridge between the imagination and the real product. And the fourth is the fifth is the test. So I am going to further emphasize. The first stage is empathizing with users. In this phase, innovators attempt to understand the feelings, experience, difficulties, and expectations of people who are affected by a problem. Observation, interviews, surveys, and interaction with users help designers get real insightful into user behavior.
এই যারা মাথা নিচু করে যাবে, মাথা তোলে, মাথা তোলে।
So there should be the word emotions. There should be the coherent existence. That you can relate with it, you can feel with it. That's how the people are marginalized in a binary oppositions. What are the problems that they are facing through? And you have to think about it by your heart. You have to feel about it, and you have to think that's how we can fix the problems. Without getting the proper fix, without getting the proper problems, without fixing the problems, you cannot get the actual resolutions, actual answers, actual reply, actual manifestations. So, complexity is needed. Apart from complexity, there are also the complexity, the hesitations, the development, and the other things that also needed in this, because one cannot get success by a chance within a single time. You have to think about it, and there also needed the observation, interviews, surveys, and interaction with user and designers to gain real insight. Because if you can't go, as I have already said, what's the key studies? What is the key studies? Just stand up on one shoulder. Can you get my point? That's what I have been saying to you before. It is a non-verbal communication that you are giving there. It is the expression that you have been asked something and you are going to give the answers to the questions. It is the informal communications. It's a non-verbal communications. Empathy is important because many products still not due to poor technology, but because they fail to address real user needs. Because there are so much technologies that there's no need to provide it. Because what is the main point that we have to first know that what is actually needed. What is actually needed. If you can get that's what's needed, then you can get the proper way. You can fix the problem. You can create the actual thing, and it will much more faster to the process. If I start aims to create mobile applications for elderly people, the developers must first understand the technology's difficulties, physical limitations, and usability preference of elderly users. Why I have given the examples? Because they are the elders. At first, they did not have used the mobile phones, the technologies. Though government have invented the mobile phones, but it is not the mobile phones that she has already invented. At the time, there was no data that we are using the YouTube, the Facebook, the Instagram, and the other platforms. So, what do we think? At first, we have to indicate that what the difficulties can be to use mobile phones. Suppose you gave your grandfather or your smartphone and he or she does not know to use or to carry it properly. And one of the hackers or someone so your grandfather or parent does not know how to carry the mobile phones. So the one of the hackers calls your grandfather and said that's what's your ATM number, what's your PIN number. And as he or she does not know in a clear way or does not know that how to use technology, as a guideline, he answers the questions. And therefore, he is in the way to mislead. The second is the define. In the define stage, the information gathered during depth research is analyzed carefully to identify the core problem. So what the word that I am using once again and again the problem. The core problem. What's the meaning of the core? Core means the main problem. The actual problem. Because if you cannot get the actual hindrance, what is the hindrance? This is the resistance, that is the obstacles. That is the problem. If you cannot fix up the problem, then you cannot get the solution. The problem must be clearly and precisely defined because an unclear problem statement often leads to ineffective solutions. A good problem statement should focus on user needs, be specific and clear, avoid assumptions. Which is assumptions like just the line of multiple process, there is a post to options. And we assume that this can be the right answer and we keep it. But sometimes, I'm not going to say sometimes, but most of the times it can't be. It is not the probability, it is not the math, it is not the probability that we are going through. That it may be day or day, 2 or 5. It is a concept. The nuances of the difference can create a huge difference. The nuances of the difference. Encourage solutions-oriented thinking. And for example, instead of saying people need better transportation, a refined problem statement may be daily commuters require affordable and high. Then you will get the word matcha. You can go through on YouTube and you can get the idea that what matcha. The goal of identity of EDUs is to encourage creativity and avoid limitation in thinking. What I said, that don't try to limit your thinking. Always think the limitless you can think. Because I have seen that there will be always the notebooks where many of the notebooks have written the logo or the manifestations that the sky is the limit. Why? Why the sky is the limit? Maybe there can be much more material space. There can be. So the sky also cannot be the limit. Your limit is limitless. Limit tends to zero, the infinity. Limit tends to infinity. The primary goal of education to encourage creativity and avoid limitation in thinking. Participants are encouraged to think beyond conventional boundaries and propose unique solutions. Techniques used during education is brainstorming, reverse thinking, storyboarding, scam card technique, and mind mapping. So you have to map the concept. There's always the concept or the ideas that is already exist in your cerebral or in your head or in your brain, and you rely on it that it is the truth. But sometimes it cannot be, or sometimes it can be. And wherever you get the information from others, and if it is additional more than it, then you can engage with it. You can add with this. And then if you find that the concept or the ideas or the information that you have already known and it is right, then you can keep it. And if you get the extra points or extra ideas, then you can add it. And if you can find that it is not the idea, it is wrong, and what is said later is right, the concept of the natures, where changing is the procedure. So it is not the just verification or validation that remains is always the truth, because history repeats, and always the things or the new things always infinite day by day. This stage is extremely important because innovation often emerges from unconventional and imaginative ideas. Where there is no conventional, there is always limitless boundaries. What the climate shows, the limitless boundaries. The word limitless boundary is itself an oxymoron, where two opposite words spontaneously occurs or takes places, like fire sword, পবিত্র প্রতারক, like divaratri, like limitless boundary. I'm saying about limitless, that is, there's no limit. And I'm saying about, and to the next one, I'm saying about boundary. That is restricted. That you are restricted. And how limitless boundary? I'm going to share the other thing that what is prototype. A prototype is a preliminary version of experimental model of new product or solutions. During this stage, innovators convert ideas into physical or digital representations that can be tested and evaluated. Prototypes may include sketches, mock-ups, wireframes, 3D models, sample products, software demonstrations. The purpose of prototypes is what is the purpose of the prototypes? It is not the perfection, but it is the experimentations. And the word perfections never can be real, because no one can be perfect in this real. Is anyone that can say that I am perfect man in this universe? Is there any medical that which can be said that it is the perfect medical in this world? No, because the word perfect does not rely in real. It is surreal. It is a concept. So I have also gone through one much more sentence that practice makes men perfect. But believe me, it's not. You will get much more better. But if you get the perfect sense, then you are not the human beings. You are going to the ethereal spirit. You are going to the blissful spirit. So it allows innovators to identify design flaws, usability issues, and technical challenges before large-scale production. And if we are going to find out the problems, we are not the flaws of the production. That's how we are going to product the things. If it has already produced, then we cannot change the production. Can we intend or can we remove the productions that we have already produced? So no. Benefits of prototyping: it's reduced risks and development cost, encourage experimentation, improves communication among team members, enables clearly users feedback, helps visualize abstract ideas. So the types of the prototypes. What are the types? The paper prototypes, the sketches and hand-on screen, the physical model, where the 3D printed as well as the craft model are also intuitive in their own way. The other is digital wireframe, there's the Figma or the micro file mockup, and the Wizard of Oz. That's also one of the things that I have gone through in my presentation, but it's not just the other one was the Wizard of Oz. And where the beautiful story that has been commenced by the Alliance, ALICE, how a little child, how a pretty child goes beyond from reality to another imaginary, and how he can get the idea the math, the sequences, how the rabbit will give you the idea that it is not the reality, the thoughts, the essence, what's the other creatures was, and how the persons, the allies, the little girl will get the ideas that what should be and what should not be, and within a little age. In his own way, there's a supernatural characteristic within him. And and the clickable prototype, that's an interactive digital demo, and the other is functional prototype, that's working code or hardware. Change the slide. Change the slide. And what are the other prototypes? The functional prototypes, the video prototypes, the 3D prototypes, clinical prototypes. That's what are the high fidelity prototypes. Before the investment, is the prototypes are real or not? Is the prototypes are quite good enough to share the investment or not? So technical always plays an important or crucial role in here. And the video prototypes simulate product demo videos showing interactions great for concept validation without building anything. And where the others? The 3D printed physical model. The changeable hardware prototype with actual dimensions ideal for IoT and wearables and product designs. There's also one that I can connect with it by interlink with it as the importance of ICT, information and communication technology. How information and communication regarding both of these are pretty much important in prototypes. Because we are getting the proper communications where we are not trying to go in a way where we can get the resolution solutions, where we can go where we will not be able to get the proper response. The students shall not even confine theoretical discussions alone through interactive activities. Innovation does not emerge from comfort zones. It emerges from observations, experimentations, persistence, and failure-driven learning. Therefore, never fear mistakes during the process of creation, because every unsuccessful attempt contributes to eventual success. I sincerely hope that this workshop will inspire each participant to think critically, innovate fearlessly, and transform concepts into practical solutions capable of addressing societal and industrial needs. So there's the difference. That's what's the high fidelity prototype and what's the low fidelity prototype. While it is very low, the cost, and for the high fidelity, it is medium or high, because the tools or the machines that we are using in this perspective or in this genre to find out the gap between the image, between the idea and between the real world, it takes much more machines that needs much more variations. And the other is speed or rate. Minutes to hours and it's days to weeks, because it is much more rigorous, it is using much more technology, so they need much more time. And time is frustrating. Time is sweet, not Jonathan sweet. Time is sweet. And what is the user feedback quality? Conceptual variations, and it's the detailed human feedback. What's the other? Other in age. For development of sustainability, it can be contributed to low sustainability when it creates in a high sustainability. Because sustainability is always important, not only to an idea but also to a product. Because we always go through for the brand, we always go through what the reputed company like Levi is. We always go through for the company that is already reputed, like Nike, like Adidas, like Samsung, like I think you have got the points that how the fidelity will get much more point or potential, because it is as there are so many technologies and reputations and times it is needed to produce the things, so it can create or make a brand because it invests much more the potentials, regardless of all the things. have the 5-step portraits, how to go through the steps. That portraits should be user friendly. That portraits should be done. That portraits should be commendable. At first, we have to clarify the requirements. That the requirements that is needed is it, or there's a much more that we should have to need. Because assumptions, because of the variations, and because of the liability. The second is choose fidelity, that is match fidelity to your questions early stage, that is low fi, pre-launch, and that is high fi. The third is build a portrait, create quickly with the available tools, speed over perfections. And the fourth is test with users. You have to before launch the product, it has been given or it has been shared to the users that is the product is okay or not. If the users give the reviews that it is good, then it can promote much more. Then it can get the trustable area. Like whenever we got the products from Amazon or Flipkart, we always try to find out the rates. That's is it 4.1, is it 4.2 or something else. And what will be the response? What will be the review from the customers? Because we want to rely on the review of the customers. That is it the real products that I am looking for, or is it the characteristics that it has been set to the brand? If we get find the reviews from the customers that no, this product is not as much as good that it has been consumed or as it has been imagined or it has been portrayed by the platform, then we are not going to purchase the product. Should we? If we find that it is a false product, it is not the fine product, then go away. Shall we go to invest our money to this product, to purchase or to buy it? We never go. So this is the concept of liability to a product. Test with users, and last, the iterate and refine. That is act on feedback, keep bad ideas first, double down on what works. And I'm going to describe the testing or the test. Testing is the final stage where prototypes are evaluated by users and stakeholders. Feedback collected during testing helps innovators understand whether the proposed solutions effectively addresses the problem. Prototyping tools for every stage. Before going to in this slide, I'm going to say testing often reveals what? The functional issues, the user dissatisfactions, technical limitations, areas requiring improvements. The design thinking process is iterative, meaning innovators may return to previous stages if they realize the most effective solution is ahead. So, what are the prototyping tools for every stages? That's UR or units to science, that's the hardware or IoT, that's our rapid wireframe, that's AI power, that's no-code apps, and that's the collaborations. So collaborations is one of the meaning, that is the amalgamation. Amalgamation of what? Not only we create or we make business by ourselves, that's I have gained or I have got the idea and I'm going to create a business by myself. I can create, but there's always someone who are going to invest the money if there's needed. How I can create my idea or business to another idea or business, that is called collaboration. That is the amalgamation. Like the banks, there are so many banks that who have been collaborated nowadays. There are so many brands who are already collaborated in various perspectives of contrast. Now the importance of design thinking. Design thinking is highly significant in entrepreneurship, education, business management, engineering and innovation ecosystem because it encourages creativity and innovations. Without getting the courage or innovation or the creativity, will not be encouraged enough to create the ideas to get the new things to make form. It promotes user-centered solutions, improves problem-solving abilities, enhances teamwork and collaboration, enhances product failure, supports startup development and innovations culture. Organizations such as Apple, INC, Google, and IDEO widely use design thinking methodologies to create innovation and successful products. So here are the prototype versus POC versus MVP. So it is, you can go through it, what it is, and now I'm going to go further. What's the problem identification and solution mapping? Problem identification and solution mapping from the foundation of innovations, entrepreneurship, research and strategic planning. Before developing any product or process, it is essential to understand the actual problem truly. Many projects fail because innovators attempt to solve symptoms rather than identifying root causes. Because the innovators try to cure the symptoms that the mobile is not good enough for its battery. So he's trying to find out that's how we can enhance the battery, and we are going to sell it. But it is not finding that why the battery is not acting in these mobile phones, why it is not lasting through the years. So at first we will have to find out not only the problem, the root cause. If we find out the root cause, then the sustainability will be much more longer. The longevity, the longevity will be much more available. And then the company, the brand will be much more reputable. Then it will be much more impactful, then the customers will buy or purchase it much more. Problem identification is the process of recognizing, analyzing and understanding a challenge or issue that requires attention and resolution. And what are the steps of problem identification? The steps are the observations, data collection. The theme of the one says the cartography, how we can go through from one line to another, from one step to another. As the concept here, it is entrepreneurship in the business and the prototyping as well as the design. So here the map is to be the step, to be that is interconnected to each one. Otherwise, the map also suggests the cartographic map. As there are some fictional places, we cannot change the map. So solution mapping, once the problem is identified, innovators develop a strategic plan known as solution mapping. It refers to organizing possible solutions systematically and selecting the most feasible alternative. Components of solution mapping. What are the components of the solution mapping? Those are the brainstorming solutions, different ideas and approaches are generated. So our brain is always generate ideas. I am also going through one of the concepts that is going to be in my mind, that some philosophers always say that our mind, whenever we are born, we born with a blank slate. Blank slate? Here I am trying to indicate that in our mind there is nothing. If you are going to in the other theory, then I am going to discuss later. That's how our mind were blank. But there are always some philosophers who also say that no, we also learn from wherever we were in our mother's womb, because we can get the expectations, we can get the existence of the living existence. evaluating alternatives that solutions are compared based on cost, the feasibility, the efficiency, the sustainability, and user acceptance. And the other strategies prioritize. The most practical and impactful solutions are selected. Implementation planning, our roadmap is prepared for executions and monitoring. So, are we there? That's we have already invented one thing and we are giving to sell it or to buy it, or as it has been invented the products. That's our duty is already ended up. No, it is not that. It is not that. We have to monitor that what we have made, is it working in a correct way or not. If we get 5 flaws, if we get 5 technological flaws, if we get the users' needs flaws, if we get the impact, the bad impact on society in the world, then we have to change the products. What maybe it will be much more efficient, what maybe it much more be profitable, what maybe it's much more relevant to the people from the higher authorities or from the entrepreneurs. We have to change the products according to the needs. Here is the building a user persona. I'm not going to discuss it because it is much more complex to the discussions on the regarding of the thoughts. Therefore, I would like to pass by this, and I'm going to say share another working and bridging design gaps. So bridging. So what is the bridge? This is the prototype. Wherever you go, the sea, you will get the gap and the bridge between the real and the idea. Then that we consider you will give the concept of prototype. If you can get one idea from here, that's what is prototype? Prototype is nothing much more than the gap or the bridge between the abstract or concrete, between the non-real or real, between the non-existential and existential. So the disparity between these two. So what is the disparity between the gap or the bridge between two is called prototype. Importance of problem identification and solution mapping. This process reduces risks and uncertainties, improves decision making, enhances productivity, ensures effective resource utilization, encourages innovations, helps create sustainable solutions. Successful entrepreneurs and innovators always begin with clear problem analysis before introducing products or services. So how many prototypes I have said? Just the low fidelity prototypes, the high fidelity prototypes, the function prototypes, the digital prototypes. Now advantages of prototypes conceptualization. What are the advantages? That's we are seeing about the prototypes and what will be the advantages. It improves product understanding, reduces the manufacturing errors, enhances the communication with stakeholders, encourages innovation, supports investment and funding proposals, saves times and development costs. I have already said to the students of my 6th semesters how to create the business, how to exist from the business, how to manage the business acquisitions to all of the things. So they will get much more clear, or they will get much more, and the thought will be much more comprehensive to them. Now I am going to discuss about the feasibility testing and validation. Feasibility testing and validations are critical processes used to determine whether a project, business idea, prototype, or innovations can be implemented successfully and sustainably. Feasibility analysis evaluates practicability while validations performs effectiveness and acceptance. So, what are the types of the feasibility study? That's the technical feasibility that connects with the technical issues. That is related to technical issues. The other is financial feasibility that relates or connects with the money, that connects with the capital. The other is operational feasibility determines whether the proposal or the proposed solutions can function effectively in real environments or not. And the other is market feasibility, where assesses customers' demand, competition and market potential. And the other is legal feasibility, where ensures compliance with laws, regulations and intellectual property rights. I am getting you all that you all are getting bored while watching about this, you will get free. As we proceed through today's workshop, it is truly inspiring to witness the enthusiasm, creativity, and innovative spirit displayed by all the participants. The discussions and activities conducted so far have clearly demonstrated that innovation is not limited to advanced laboratories or large corporations. Innovation begins with observation. So, innovation begins with observations. So, we have to observe first. We have to think critically. We have to create the ideas. Many of you have already about to go outside. I am getting the 5 from them. I am not going to take much more time. Just give it 2 minutes and I am going to come to the seminar here. The session on prototype development and process designs have emphasized a very important principle. Every great innovation begins as an imperfect fish draft. The prototypes and ideas being conceptualized today may evolve into impactful projects, startups, research models, or even social innovations in future. I encourage all participants to actively engage in the remaining sessions, interact with mentors, and refine your ideas through collaborative learning. Remember that teamwork, adaptability, and critical thinking are among the most essential qualities of successful innovators and entrepreneurs. Let this work sort not be a roadmap and academic event, but become the beginning of your innovation journey. Thank you. Thanks. I am here concluding my seminar.